Now, for the record, guys, I have been high bar squatting for about 10 years. I'm training for 12, but I've been high bar squatting for about 10 years. I probably, in that entire time, spent about 2 years doing a low bar squat, which does involve the knees coming forward, but obviously not to the extent of the high bar squat because of the bar placement and the fact that it just forces your body to remain more upright. And I can honestly say within that entire time, deep squatting, which involves my knees coming forward, has never caused any sort of pain to my knees after any sort of session. I can honestly say the only time I did experience knee pain, and I believe this will also happen if you're doing other variations of the squat, such as a low bar squat, which doesn't involve as much forward knee travel, is from using excessive amounts of volume, which I was having trouble recovering from. So I was training with a high frequency and a high volume in order to make adaptations to reach new levels of strength. And because of that, I was experiencing connective tissue issues, overuse issues, probably a little bit of inflammation in my knees and things of that nature, which contributed to some knee pain, okay? So as soon as I deloaded from that amount of volume, the knee pain was literally gone. So when you're deep squatting like this, there's two kinds of force, and you guys can actually, I'm gonna leave a link to the channel of Squat University. Dr. Norshik from this channel actually just put out a video talking about the two kinds of forces that are applied to the knee joint when you're squatting. Okay, so there is shear force and there's compressive force, and both act upon the knee during the squat. Most of the shear force actually happens during the first couple of seconds that you're going into the squat, so even before you hit parallel. And then as you're descending and getting lower, there is more compressive force, which from what he's saying is a lot safer at the very bottom. It provides a safe zone for your knee joint, which has to be true because if you look at most Olympic weightlifters, they squat using the high bar technique because of all the various techniques and snatches and cleans and front squats that they do, and they don't seem to have knee pain. He referenced the people who have knee pain, ACL tears and things like that, are people who are actually doing people who play football and sports like that, where there involves a lot of twisting and turning and cutting, which seems to actually create that shear force at the top half of the squat. Because when somebody cuts, they don't cut at like a bottom position of a squat. They're at like the top quarter portion, which the most actual shear force is applied to the knee at that point. So what he's saying is very true. You guys should go and check out his channel, and don't think that squatting with your knees traveling forward, squatting deep and upright will cause knee pain, because if your loading patterns are correct, your technique is correct, you're deloading the right way, and you're just tracking your progression, you will not experience this. So guys, know that it is okay to have forward knee travel during the squat. It's completely okay. It is the only way to maintain an upright and neutral spine at the very bottom of the squat. Okay, so it's not about how much are your knees coming forward, it's about when are your knees coming forward. If your knees are breaking, if you're breaking the squat at the very top of the squat and your knees are coming forward at that position, yes, that's incorrect. And that's putting way too much shear force on your actual knees. Hence why, have you ever seen a guy who loads up the bar with a shit ton of weight and he just kind of does quarter squats? And usually the dudes you see doing that, they'll like there's so much shear force and compression they're putting on their knees, because usually dudes who I see in the gym actually doing that are like quarter squatting 500 or more pounds. And I've heard dudes like this say, yeah, they're wrapping their knees because they have so much pain. No, motherfucker, it's not that you're having so much pain so you have to wrap your knees. This is because your technique is completely wrong. You know, they're not even squatting in the parallel, and they're squatting within that top portion where there's a lot of just sheer force. Very little to no compressive force, which provides that safe zone because they're not hitting depth at all. So they're squatting and overloading the top portion, which causes the most shear force. So if you're at the very bottom and your knees come forward at the very bottom, completely okay, because it's a lot of compressive force, which provides that same safe zone, just like Dr. Norshik says in his video. A couple things to check off to make sure that your squat technique's good, you're avoiding knee pain, and you're basically going over a checklist to make sure that things are flowing smoothly in the squat. When the knees do come forward, it is at the very bottom position of the squat, and you maintain the most neutral spine possible. Avoid thoracic rounding. Thoracic rounding can cause you an injury. Watch your loading patterns, okay? So even if you're squatting, even if you're half squatting, you're squatting ass to grass, so no matter what it is, if you're squatting with loading patterns that you cannot adapt to, okay, that your body cannot adapt to, that are causing a lot of overuse issues in the knees, connective tissue inflammation and pain and things like that because of not allowing your body to actually recover, no matter what the depth is of the squat, you're gonna have actual knee pain there, okay? So make sure that you're watching your loading patterns, you're deloading correctly, you know what your progressive overload scheme looks like, your knees travel forward at the very bottom of the squat, which is okay, and you avoid thoracic rounding. If you're making sure that you're monitoring those things, you will more or less be okay. all right? Unless something completely horrible goes wrong with your technique at the very bottom of the squat or at any point during the squat, and yeah, you're gonna be screwed no matter what in that case. But if you're safe, you take your time, you're patient, record yourself actually squatting, that's probably another really good tip so you can correct your form and perfect it. Check out Dr. Noshik's channel. He goes into depth so much better than I do about this because the guy is an actual doctor. He's got his degree in this. He's a physical therapist. He studies the biomechanics and the science behind the squat. He will be able to fix your technique and your form just by watching his videos. So make sure you guys go into his channel, subscribe to his channel, go and look at what he's doing and kind of use it as a checklist to reference, are you actually doing it correctly? I'm gonna leave a link to that very below. So go check that out right after you watch this video right now. If you guys like this video and you did find that it was helpful, whether you're watching my video, his video, or both, make sure you guys give this a thumbs up, give it a like, share it on your social media just in case anybody else is having issues with the squat, they're having knee pain, they're not sure whether or not they're doing it correct, and make sure you come back and subscribe because I'm gonna be making more videos like this. I'll see you guys in the next one.